Hey, welcome to an episode. It's been a minute, but welcome to another episode
Has.
of the ChiroCandy podcast. I've got Matt Keenan with me today.
Hey,
So let's talk about first off why it's been a minute since we've done an episode of the ChiroCandy podcast. Some
the
of you
elephant
guys
in the
know
room.
what's that? Oh, the
The
elephant in the room.
elephant in
Yeah.
the room.
Um, Whenever ChiroCandy started, it was a podcast. We were not a marketing agency. As a matter of fact, we probably had 40 or 50 clients before I realized we actually had an agency. I said, no, we're just helping people with their marketing. And somebody's like, yeah, Billy, that's a marketing agency. Um, but we started off as a podcast, I used to work in office for a chiropractor. We had multiple locations. We doubled the volume in both offices. I fell in love with chiropractic. And so I started the podcast. Um, and I was so consistent with it for several years. I mean, I think there's 170 something episodes that we've done. But as the company started growing, and my wife, Rusty, just asked, she's like, what are some stressors? What are some things that you're doing that we can kind of take off your plate? And I finally gave myself permission to like back off on the podcast. And so we stopped doing them weekly. And then I would do one just kind of every once in a while, we would do some. Um, and then we were in a meeting the other day and I pulled up, as a matter of fact, Matt and I were talking and we pulled up the podcast statistics. And it's been over 2 years. It's been about 2.5 years since we've had an episode come out,
It's been a minute.
and 30 people downloaded an episode this week. Like there's still people wanting the content. And so we committed to let's do this again. And instead of me doing it by myself, I wanted to bring Matt on as a co-host, and there'll be some of these episodes he'll even be doing, with him and guest. But Matt has been with us for 5 years.
5 years next month. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's seen a lot of growth that we've had in the company. He's seen, some ups and downs. But one of the things I love about Matt is he's so good at what he does. One, managing accounts, but he also helps train all of our reps. All the reps have to meet and do one-on-ones with Matt and Andrew every week. And so he gets to see what's working and what's not working. But Matt, tell us uh, a little bit about your background working with ChiroCandy, and then let's get into some information that's going to help these docs. As a matter of fact, I will say this: once we go over his background and stuff, what we do want to cover in this episode is how Facebook has changed. Yeah, and this is just Meta in general, Instagram included, how
Right.
it's changed over the years, what was working, what's not working anymore, the biggest problems and mistakes we see chiropractors make. But most importantly, we want to go over what's working really, really well and what you guys can do. We want to give you some tangible takeaways that you can take to your team and say, hey, we need to implement this strategy because that's what's working best. But Matt, give us a little bit about your ChiroCandy story.
Yeah, well, mine's a little bit different, obviously, because you know that I knew you because of I was roommates with Brady in college, so that was a fun connection. And then I didn't know anything about marketing, but Brady said that's okay. We know your work ethic and we trust you, and we want to bring you onto the team. And so the rest is history. I started working as an account rep, managing clients, building out campaigns, and then I think it was like a year into it when Brady needed some help with the one-on-ones because things were getting busier because we were getting more clients. And then I started doing one-on-one calls with employees to help them because I kind of got a knack for the ads. And then from there, I think a year after that, we saw a need for a customer success type role because there just needed to be a liaison essentially for issues and problems and whenever a client was unhappy or somebody just needed to take charge of a situation and fix something so there's a quick turnover. And I was doing that for about 3 years. I just recently resigned that role to get back into more client work and doing the podcast and stuff now. So I've seen a lot, like you said, I've seen a lot of highs and lows. I've seen a lot of things that haven't been working with clients and things that have been working really well. And I'm definitely excited to be sharing those tips and tricks with all of our viewers.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to get into first is kind of expectations that we see chiropractors have whenever it comes to Facebook. And one of the things that chiropractors don't do as much now as what they used to do is screenings out in the community, setting up at events, whether it's a some kind of trade show or health fair or uh, the wedding venue thing going on, at the Civic Center. And there's all these booths set up. And I used to do this. This is one of the things I did when I worked in office for chiropractors. We would do these screenings, and nobody's going to the bridal expo looking for a chiropractor. But there we were. And people would be walking down the aisle, walking down our row, and you'd see the wife elbow the husband, like, hey, look, there's a chiropractor. And they would stop and talk to us, which one, I think there's something to be said for that, because it was normally the women elbowing the men. And one of the things that we know is most chiropractic patients, like most offices, 70% of them are women 35 and older. And even the men that come in are coming in because their wives
Their wife forced them.
told them to, right? So we know women make the majority of the healthcare decisions for the families, and that's another reason why whenever it does come to marketing, a lot of times we're focused more on the women because they're the ones making the decisions. But anyway, you would have, let's say, 20 people stop by your booth, and they're not all going to come in, but they stopped, right? Some people didn't even stop
Right.
at all. These people stopped, maybe gave you some information. You're hoping to get, 30% of them. If we can get 6 to 10 of these people to come in, that would be fantastic. That is what Facebook and Instagram is. It's really the same type thing. No one's going to Facebook and Instagram looking for a chiropractor,
Right.
but if you get your message in front of the right people, it's the same type thing. You can generate, enough interest that people are going to actually take action and come in. And they're not all going to come in, but we've got some offices that see 60 to 70% show rates. And I would say average is probably more along the lines of 30%, but it just depends on the office, what type of content they're doing. But what are some expectations that you see that sometimes we need to manage right from the get-go?
Well, right off the bat, most of our clients expect a huge influx right off the bat. They're like, okay, we're starting out with you guys. The ads went live. I'm expecting to get, like 5 leads and tomorrow type thing. And the other thing is quality. So they want a lot of leads, and they want them all to be high quality. So we know right off the bat from that that's not always the case. Probably I mean, the first month is usually a trial and error period where we're testing out ad techs, we're testing out creative, testing out if they send us videos, what's working, because it's going to be different from one demographic to the next, from one city to the next, really. Some cities might be more interested in graphics and images, and another one might really like the TikTok style videos that we're editing. And then others might just want a simple video from the doctor that we added captions to. So part of that first month is really seeing what's working in the community and then capitalizing on that and running with it. So a lot of people want something really fast all at once, but there's just a process. And that's why we try to do our best to explain to our clients, this is what we're doing. This is why we're testing this out. And then we need some time to read the data, right? We're not just sitting and like watching the ads, looking at the numbers. We're looking at all of the numbers. We're looking at impressions and engagement and where they're coming from, what specific parts of the campaign are generating them, so that we can, kind of dial in until we get that sweet spot. Because every chiropractic demographic around their office, there's always going to be a sweet spot, and we just have to find it by, trying things, throwing things
Yeah.
at the wall until one of them sticks.
And one of the things I love about your role, as far as doing one-on-ones, is you get to see what's working well and what's not working.
Right.
And what's crazy in I think a lot of chiropractors, probably just people in general, assume that if we have an ad working well here, we can do that across 10 different areas across the country and we're going to get the same results everywhere. But we're not.
It's a common
It's
question I get.
yeah, and that makes sense, right? I would think, well, human nature, if people respond well to it here, there's a good chance they're going to respond well to it in other places.
Right.
But that's just simply not always the case. Uh, And
There are
there are some
micro
things.
cultural differences, honestly. There's always every different city and state has micro cultural differences that are going to make a difference in the way they make decisions and the way they perceive things, including advertisements. And that's our job because one of the most common questions, especially like maybe 2 weeks in when a client maybe isn't getting the results that they're wanting yet, they're like, "Well, show me an ad that's performing really well, that's doing neuropathy in, you know, this area or something. Like what's your client that's getting the best results in neuropathy?" I'm like, "Well, I can show you that, but I it's not necessarily going to do the same thing here because we always start with, the same structure in general because we have our own ad text templates that we've written out and we have stock images that we've used, which is, a placeholder until we can get content from the doctors. But that's just the starting place. And then we have a million different directions to go. But we don't just pick them at random. We have to read the data and see which direction would be the smartest to go next.
Yeah. And so I think, so like what you were saying, some of these expectations are, I want as many leads as possible, highest quality as possible. And first off, for us, we want the exact same thing. Like we want this to work so well for you. We just want you to be flooded with new patients, quality
Right.
new patients that are coming in, showing up, accepting care. Like we want this to make an impact on your community in everything. So we're on the same page. But a lot of times at first, our goal is let's generate quantity and then let's see how that quality is because there are several things we can do to improve the quality. But if we're not getting any quantity, we're gonna have a hard time improving the quality.
Right. We got to start with something
Yeah, we got to start with something.
and then narrow it
Uh,
down.
yeah, I remember being in an event in Dallas. This has been a couple of years ago, and it was a smaller event. It was about 60 to 70 people there. Probably about 40 to 50 of them were actually chiropractors and some were staff. Excuse me. Well, I get there and one of our clients was there. I'd never met him before. I mean, we've got a lot of accounts and he didn't know I was going to be there. I didn't know he was going to be there. And he was from San Diego. And he's like, "Hey, Billy, we're actually a client and been with you guys for about 3 years." He said, "But I got to tell you," I was like, "Oh, well, first off, thank you. I mean, obviously it's working well. If you've been with us 3 years," he goes, "Yeah, but it didn't start off well." He goes, "The first couple of months really just we weren't getting anything." And I was like, "This is amazing. I mean, I wish you would have got great results from the beginning, but we see
Obviously.
this all the time. What made you stick with this?" And he says, "One, you guys have an incredible reputation. I knew that you knew what you were talking about. And so I was just working with my rep, trying different things. And it's like the combination on a lock, right? We would just try these different things." He said, "And next thing I know, it started working." And this was in December that I was at this event. And he said, "We didn't even know you were going to be here, but on the flight over, my office manager and I were going over our numbers, all the different marketing and stuff we're doing. And for ChiroCandy for this year, we've seen a 5-to-1 ROI on everything we spent between your fees and what we spent on ad spend to the money that we've got back." So,
That's great.
um, yeah, and he's loving it. But I love that story because so many people, if it's not working immediately, they just want to throw in the towel
Hmm.
and and I think that that's kind of tough. I don't think I've even shared this story with you, but you and we're in the business. We've been doing this for a long time. We see a lot of companies come and go.
Right.
Like I don't know of anybody doing Facebook ads for chiropractors now that was doing it almost 10 years ago when we started. Like those companies just aren't even there anymore. But we kind of planted our flag. We've been here and we see them just come and go all the time. There's one in particular that I started seeing about a year ago. And out of respect, I'm not going to share their name, but it rhymes with, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not even going to do that. But Brady told me that the owner of this company reached out to him. And so some of you guys, if you followed us for a while, Brady's my oldest son. He was with us here at ChiroCandy from the beginning. And then he started doing the same thing we do for chiropractors, he started doing for churches. And so he launched ChiroCandy. And this guy really didn't even realize that ChiroCandy might be affiliated with ChiroCandy. He's like, I didn't even realize that. It's like, okay, come on. Anyway, he reaches out to Brady, schedules a call. Brady had no idea who he was. He thought he was part of Seven Figure Agency, which is a group we're a part of, and he's not. This guy just scheduled a call, and he tells him, he's like, yes, this is the name of our company. We're in the chiropractic space. And Brady's like, oh, well, Billy Sticker's my dad, and we have ChiroCandy. He's like, oh my goodness, and he goes, man, the chiro space is so competitive. It's so crowded with all these other people going after chiropractors. Um, he goes, we're getting out of it. And their name is actually pretty popular. I was kind of surprised when Brady told me the story because, like I said, they've at least been around a year, so like, I've seen them enough. And he's like, yeah, it's too competitive, so we're going to start focusing on nonprofits. Which, if you're a nonprofit, Google offers up to $10,000 a month in free Google ads. So like that's kind of their angle. That's why they wanted to reach out to Brady because he's doing churches. Um, but that's so common. People learn how to do Facebook ads and they're like, you know what? Let's go after chiropractors. And they have no idea what chiropractic is. They've never been adjusted. They just don't, they haven't drank the Kool-Aid.
They just
Uh,
like picked out of a hat.
yeah, you know what? Let's go after lawn care, HVAC. Oh, let's try chiropractic. Let's do that. Uh, and so it is very, very, it is competitive. And so for us being in this niche for so long and seeing all of the changes, that's something else we want to talk about is, managing expectations. But what's working now is totally different than what was working 7 or 8 years ago,
Right.
even a year or two ago. It is always changing. And you and I both see this. We'll have clients leave because somebody else is in their ear. If you're not getting good results, then we can, they promise them the moon.
There's always somebody else in the ear.
They're always, and so, and that is, as a business owner, that is frustrating. But every single month we have clients come back. Every month we see
Every
returning
single month.
clients. And so we do love that. I think that does say a lot for us. But another reason we have them come back because we're always doing things different. We're always learning new strategies. But what are some things that you see that's working really, really well now? Like, what are some differences from what we used to do compared to what we're doing now?
Well, some of the biggest things are, I mean, the bread and butter of what we do at ChiroCandy is video content, right? And just like 5 years ago when we started, we were encouraging our clients to be making these like 2 minute long videos in landscape mode, like turning their phone sideways. It was, back then it was also more what generated the most engagement was more professional looking, like commercial type videos where people were very stoic or robotic. But then, TikTok hit by storm, and now they make all of the decisions and the moves. Like they set the tone basically for what people are engaging with, and everybody's attention spans went from this to this.
Right.
So
It went from
now,
really long to, yeah,
so go
just
ahead
super
and
short.
take your phones and turn them from this to this, and then take your 2 minute videos and bring them down to 15 to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And
And those of you who
that's
are listening and not watching, uh, you know,
oh
we're
yeah,
no more landscape. Now they're all vertical.
exactly. Yeah, I forget. So from landscape to vertical, from 2 minutes to 30 seconds or less. And I really like that. I think that that's a plus because for clients who are camera shy or they don't feel comfortable with that, then it makes it so much easier for us to coach them through it. And, I have several video scripts that I provide them. It's like, listen, all you got to do is hit this point, and this point. And it's even like a formula, start off with a hook, say, because you have 3 seconds to capture someone's attention, right? Instead of, you could have a 2 minute long speech basically that you prepared to really go into detail about a certain topic. Nowadays, people are going to want just a little bite size. Hey, today I'm going to tell you about this. And it's a part one. And then you could do 3 to 5 to 6 parts. And then instead of having one long 2 minute video, you can have six different little pieces that they piece together. And if they see in the video like a thumbnail where it says part 2 or part 3 and they get value from that video, then they're most likely going to go back and see the other ones too. And when they click on it and they go back to your page and they see, oh, this wasn't just like a one-off advertisement that they just wanted to try to prove that they're doing something, they're going to see that you have a ton of videos that are adding value to them. Like, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. They know about these disc issues. They do decompression treatments. They know about neuropathy. They do this and this and that. And all of these pieces ultimately come together and tell the story of your office because every chiropractor is different, every office is different, and not everybody knows that. Some people think it's just a blanket thing. So that's why you have to do your best to go in and tell your community, this is what sets us apart. This is what we're known for. This is what we treat. These are our specialties. So if you're dealing with this, and that, then you need to come see us, or you need to address certain things like these are some things that I need to debunk that people have told you about chiropractic, things like that. You know what I mean? Like it's all about not just reaching your community and trying to get them to come into your office, but we're all about trying to better the community and make people live healthier lives and have, a better quality of life ultimately. And so people aren't going to know what you have to offer unless you tell them.
One of the things I think is so powerful about using social media is people do get to know, like, and trust you when you start
Hmm.
doing video content. Now, that's one of the things that over the years, it hasn't changed much as far as us. At first we were just throwing up ads. I don't want to say just throwing up ads. We knew what was working really well, but we would do images, we would do carousel ads and things, and they were generating a lot of leads and they were working really well. But then we started doing videos. And the reason we started doing videos is because Facebook, or just Meta, Facebook and Instagram, they allow us to build a retargeting audience of people who are watching and engaging with your content.
Right.
And so instead of people saying yes to an offer, which offers work, but we want people to say yes to you. We want people to say yes to your office. And it doesn't even always have to be the chiropractor doing the videos. One of our offices,
Right.
the Kaufmans, they've been with us for probably 7 years now. Um, their CA, one of the CAs in their office, they have multiple associates, but one of their CAs does the majority of the content of the videos. And so it doesn't just have to be the doctor. But when you can start showing people behind the curtains, right?
Right.
They can start seeing what they can expect when they walk in. A bunch of smiling faces. Here's the exam room. Here's the treatment area. Like you just show them all this stuff. It A lot of people don't go to a chiropractor because they don't know what to expect.
Right.
And you get to pull the curtain back, right? You get to do this. And so when you're doing a lot of content and we start building an audience of people who are following you, who are seeing your stuff over and over and over again. Well, now when people come in, let's say then they see a new patient offer, they click on it, they fill out their information. Now, when they walk in the door, they feel like they already know you
Yeah,
because they've been
exactly.
watching your stuff.
It's the
And
celebrity effect.
yep, and not, I think it's that, um, but also the fact that if you think of your favorite patients, when you look at the schedule for the day, and there's all right now, I just said favorite patient. You're thinking of a couple of people, right? It's just, I worked in office. I know how it is. You see that they're on the books that day, you get excited because they're totally compliant. They don't miss appointments. They refer people, like they get it. Um, well, the reason they get it is because you've been able to educate them on all your stuff. What if that education could start a couple of weeks before they ever walked in the door,
Right.
or a couple of months before they walked in the door? That's what the video content does. So we've been recommending video content for several years now. Um, so that part hasn't changed. But like what Matt was saying, what's changed is how we're delivering that content. When TikTok arrived, it totally changed the playing
Everything.
field on all social media. And Facebook, to compete with TikTok, started doing Reels. And then they started rewarding us for using Reels to compete, with TikTok. And we still do
Right.
TikTok ads. And it's crazy because this isn't always the case, but we have some offices that do better at TikTok than they do at Facebook. It's still different. But one of the things TikTok did different is historically your feed on Instagram and Facebook is people that you follow. Your friends, maybe a couple of businesses that you may follow. That's the majority of what you were seeing, that and some ads.
Right.
Well, what Instagram did is forget who you'd like, forget your friends and who you're
No,
following.
you mean what TikTok did?
Sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
TikTok, and then Facebook did. Yeah, sorry. What TikTok did is they started doing your interest, what they thought you were interested in. We started thinking about, do we want to get an RV, a travel trailer, or something like that? And next thing I know, the majority of my TikTok feed is travel trailers and RVs and people that are, living full time and traveling the country and all this stuff because they're trying to keep you on longer. And they
Hmm.
figured out that's a good way to do it is your interest. Um, and so now Facebook and Instagram are doing the exact same thing. So a lot of this stuff has changed, but what's great is this actually benefits you as the doctor, you as the office,
Absolutely.
because they know these are the people who are engaging most with healthcare related stuff, wellness type related stuff. We're going to show 'cause Facebook wants you to do well. Like they want your ads to perform.
They want you to spend money and they want you to stay on the platform.
Right. So they're actually rewarding us, for using that. And so now we still want people to be doing videos. They're just shorter and they're easier to do.
Right.
And some people, and Matt, I know you see this too, they think 30 seconds, I can't say anything in 30 seconds. You'd be amazed the amount of content you can cover in 30 seconds. The problem is chiropractors want they want to start off saying, hello, my name's Dr. Billy Sticker, and I'm with Chiropractic First in Willis, Texas.
Now
And
you're
this,
5 seconds in.
yeah, don't do that. You don't need to do that because one, people really don't care, but they can see your name or your office name at the very top of the page.
Yes.
That's already on there. So you want to get straight to what is in it for them. You know, the purpose of
They want to hear like, have you ever heard of decompression treatment? And that's how you would start the video or something like that. And they're like, oh, let's hear what he has to say. Nobody cares like, oh, hi, my name is Dr. Billy Sticker and I'm with ChiroCandy Chiropractic. It's like, okay, that's boring. I could have just checked it on your page.
yeah, and they probably already swiped. We want to stop the thumb. That's
Yeah.
the goal is stop the swipe. We want them to stop and pay attention. So anyway, we can actually even help with, tons and tons of content like that. We see that that's working well. Um, and there's even other things we can do, you know, to help with the quality. So one of the things I think is one who we're targeting, because we can target specific neighborhoods, specific zip codes. Years ago, we could really, really target incomes really well. And then Facebook got in trouble for sharing data with some of these other companies, and they kind of did away with that.
Yeah.
But there's still some things that we can do, and I'll even share this, knowing that there still might be some marketing companies listening to this. One of the things we found, if we want to get higher quality people, now granted, everybody's valuable. We love everybody, yada yada. I get it, but you and I both know that there are different quality people that come in that are going to pay for care. Um, we found that if we target people that have college degrees, even if it's associate's degrees, bachelor's degrees, if we start building an audience of people that have degrees, it's a higher level of people. And, we can't do that in every town. Some of the smaller towns, it's too small of an audience, but there are things like that. There are surveys and questions we can start building into the landing pages and the lead forms that get that help qualify the people as they're filling out their information, that helps us get higher quality people. But in
Right.
general, if people have been watching your videos for a while, then they fill out the information. I like to say that they're coming in better than a referral. And we all agree referrals are some of your best new patients. They don't know you, but they trust whoever sent them in, right? Their neighbor, their cousin, whatever. Um, but when people come in after they've been watching all your content, you don't know them, but they feel they already know you,
Exactly.
right? They know what you do, why you do it, how you do it, because they've been engaging in your content. So the video content is extremely important. And I'm sure Matt would agree with this. It's crazy how many of our clients still don't do content though.
I have clients I've had for years and they still don't make video content. And so I'm making changes to their accounts and some of them still do well. They still generate leads, but I know that they aren't doing as well as they could be doing. Like
Yeah.
there's one client in particular that started off, I think he's been with us about 3 years, over 3 years now, and he's in chiropractor in Georgia. And
We can
he
say his name, Michael
Michael
Schulman.
Schulman. Yeah, Michael
Yeah.
Schulman.
He was
He's
actually with us for a couple of years, left for a little bit, and then came back.
Yeah, he was a little stubborn at first, and I know that he wasn't getting great results at all at first for months at a time, and then he started doing video content, and we were working at it. We were doing better and better and better, and then I think a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, he hired on a videographer, and he started actually seeing the value in doing these videos, and then he hired a videographer to so he could make even more videos. And then he went from instead of just doing, maybe a video a week and just doing, strictly educational things like that. Once he had a videographer who was coming in all the time, then they were doing personality videos, meaning like they were pulling back the curtain and they were just seeing their staff, they were interacting more and people like that too. People aren't just there. They want to see that you're a real human being. That's why it's important for the doctor to be in the videos too. I mean, the staff can be in them absolutely, but we also need to see the doctor's face and hear from the doctor so that they can actually get a relationship with them before that they even come into the door. And that now he's running, I think 6 campaigns with us, and all of them are doing really well. We're doing a great retargeting campaign. We're re-engaging with people that haven't come in the office in years. We're doing, weight loss, neuropathy. We're doing all the things, and it's doing really well. And right now, the clients that are getting the best results are the ones that are staying consistent with video content. Because while the method has changed, but the mission hasn't with ChiroCandy. So we've always been doing videos. We just keep making tweaks and changes and adjusting to the trends, adjusting to the waves, which kind of goes into, all the changes that Facebook recently made just at the end of last year. And it made it even more crucial for you to make video content because in November of last year, they changed a lot of privacy settings and back end settings and targeting. So now, it used to be where you could target a radius around an office, right? And you could choose to target people who live there, people who recently lived there, people visited, but we would only target, obviously, people who live in this area. We don't want to target people who used to. But then they changed it last year. So now you have to target people who live there, recently lived there, or recently visited. And so obviously now you're going to be targeting these people that you don't really want to be targeting because they're out of state. But then there's just a lot more hoops to jump through. And another thing that I noticed, when I was as the customer success manager, I started getting so many complaints about the spam. Like lots of spam messages. I'm sure all the chiropractors listening can relate. Suddenly, last year in
Your
November,
page is in violation. It's going to be shut down.
yes, exactly. That's exactly what they're getting. Emails, texts. I mean, there's always been those type of messages, but they just exploded at that point in November. And so fake leads increased, people that, signed up, even when we have it marked as no pre-fill questions, they have to type in everything in manually. They're getting these random names. They're not answering the phones. And so now more than ever, it's so important for you to work on building a retargeting audience, building a warm audience of people who are actually engaging and watching your videos, liking, commenting, visiting your page and your website, because the lead quality significantly went down. So the only thing that's going to combat that is us getting our hands dirty and building our own campaign, our own audience from the ground up, because cold audiences aren't going to do it forever, especially in this climate.
Yeah, and we even saw that, a few years ago, with I think it was the iOS 14 update. Whenever Apple
Right.
was like, "Hey, we're not going to allow people, these different platforms to track our clients anymore." we saw a huge decrease in the number of leads and things like that, especially retargeting from that. Uh, which even goes back to more reasons why you should be doing video content. Because doing the video content, when we get to, I like to say it's like we get to build ponds and tell Facebook what fish to put in each pond.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever we're doing video content, we're basically digging a pond and we're saying, hey, Facebook, anybody who watches these videos or certain percentage of these videos, put them in this pond and I'm going to show them another video and another video. I want to nurture this pond to be a whole group of fish that knows me, likes me, trusts me. And then I'm going to go fishing with a new patient offer when the time is right.
Right.
You know?
And the
And
thing
then
is, oh, sorry.
go ahead. No, go
The
ahead.
thing is about that with the pond, the fish get out of the pond after a certain amount of time. You can't just that when people watch a video, they're not in that audience forever. There's a time limit because for people who, click on the lead form or watch a video, sometimes it's 90 days, 180 days, or a whole year, 365. But they expire. So in order to maintain those ponds and keep people in the audience, you have to continue to make videos and be consistent about it so that you can maintain and nurture what you already have. Otherwise, you're going to lose it because then if you wait, several months before posting another video, there's a lot of people that just left your pond and you have to work hard to get them back.
Yeah, it's amazing that a lot of us know what we need to do, we just don't do it. And
Hmm.
I like to even think about it like this. Now, I can't guarantee this. However, if I said, can you imagine doubling your volume? Let's say you're at 200 a week and you want to get to 400 a week, you want to double your revenue, all this. Um, if I said, what if in 1 year we can double your volume? And we've actually seen this quicker than that, but let's say in 1 year, we double your volume. The only thing you need to do is make one video a week. The thing is some people would be like, done. I'm committed. I'm going to do it. And some people, even if we could guarantee, they still wouldn't do the videos. And they just because some people just don't follow through. So, they're not that committed. But we
Right.
we do know these are the things that work really well. And I think one of the great things about what we do and even how you do the one-on-ones is we have so many tools in our toolbox. It's just figuring out what's the right tool for the right area.
Right.
And, we started doing, we have our weekly meetings and we started doing what we call show and tell. And reps that are doing really, really well or have just some new strategies because they even have permission to come up with new strategies on their own. I mean, you came up with a great one here a couple of weeks ago that's a spin on a reactivation campaign, which is phenomenal. We'll share that for another episode. It was really, really good. But one of the girls on the team, I'm kind of hesitant sharing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. She came up with an idea to just run an ad in the image. It had like one of their chiropractic like adjustments or something in the background, but she did an image of their office hours.
I can tell that story if you want.
Yeah, go
It
for it.
was it was good. It was great initiative, an example of great initiative based on listening to what the client wanted and needed, and then she ran with it and said, "I think that we could do this even better." The client essentially wanted to um, promote the fact that they are open later than normal office hours. They don't close at 5. They closed at like 6 or 6:30 so that people who got off work could still go to the chiropractor after work, that there were time slots available for them. And so they asked her to put that in the ad text. And then she came up with the idea saying, why not, instead of putting it in the ad text, why don't we just create a graphic on Canva for it and use that as the creative? And then have the ad text underneath it and tell them like, hey, these are the times that we're open. And it really exploded in their area. It did exactly what they were hoping that it would. People were signing up and filling up all of those time slots. And it was just an image with their office hours. And they were closed Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but it showed their office hours
Yeah, just
from
Monday through Thursday.
hmm
Yeah. And what's great is we don't just run one ad. Like we had multiple, and even for this doctor, we still had other ads running, but that image of office hours was outperforming all the other images for
hmm
that week. Uh, and we think that's exactly why, because people are like, oh my goodness, they're open. I don't have to take off work, right? I do need to go see a chiropractor. And so now we have hundreds and hundreds of accounts that we get to test that out on across our whole company. And so we are all, that's whenever I say we're always trying to see what's working best, we do tell our team, and Matt mentioned it a minute ago, mission over method. Like our mission is to help chiropractors get the highest quality leads possible that are coming in, accepting care. But our method, you guys get creative.
It changes
Whatever
all the
we
time.
can, yeah, whatever we can do that's going to generate the most results. And so that's why so many of our clients, I mean, we've got so many clients that have been with us 5, 6, 7 years, and which is crazy
Longer than
because,
I've been here.
yeah, we've got clients that have been here longer than that. Um, which is it's sad and it does hurt whenever a client only stays with us for a few months because we're like, you're not like you're not
We
going
could
to
do
find
so
anybody
much.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let us work. And then we have, as a matter of fact, was on a call with Taylor earlier today, and she was talking about one of her accounts that's brand new, like brand new, and the first couple of weeks they're just getting tons and tons of leads. So we do see that too. You know, it's just not always the case. But anyway, any closing thoughts as we wrap up this episode?
Honestly, no. Like I think we pretty much covered everything. The game has changed, the platform has changed, but we've been changing with it and we're ready to tackle it. And we're also ready to give out these tips and tricks so that you guys can stay with the times and not be held back with low quality leads.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for being on with me today. And thank you guys for listening. If there's anything we can do, maybe you've worked with us in the past, or you've worked, maybe you're even working with other people right now. Even if you just want us to take a look at what you're doing to give you some tips, you know, we can even do a marketing audit. Just go to chirocandy.com, schedule a call with one of our team members, and then they can hop on and look and see what you're doing or let you know what it would look like to work with us. We even have a program where if you're working with us and you're happy, you know, we don't want you referring people unless you're happy, but you can refer three or more offices to us, then you get your services for free. That's one of the reasons we've had clients with us so long is because
Right.
they've referred people and they haven't had to pay for their marketing for years too. So, but we'd love to help any way you can. So, thanks for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode.